Well, my dears, we're off to South Tyrol, or Tyrol, however you would like to pronounce it. Tyrol, we say here. It's a rainy day now, but it does get better. It does get better. We're just stopping off, having a quick break, and this is where we are staying tonight before we reach our destination. It's beautifully located, up really quite high, very peaceful, as you can see. Absolutely. Tiny little village there. Not much happening. Perfect for sleeping. Actually, I had a lot of dreams because the air is so clear. It was just intense dreaming. This is a beautiful sort of chalet situated and connected to the hotel. Beautiful, really nice accommodation actually. Very modern, warm, clean, wonderful. So this is a museum once we reached South Tyrol. Isn't that fantastic? It's like a farmyard, like a farm village. And I love the detail on this. Look, the people are there outside of a tavern. They're having their lunch, the farmers and their wives. Isn't that wonderful? I love little model towns and landscapes. Absolutely amazing. There's the church. Ooh, I like this. I really like this Vespa. Isn't that sweet? Oh, I could definitely see Odette and myself scooting around on that. Oh, yes. Definitely going to get one of those one of these days when I have more time to ride it. Not working all the time. And there's a little BMW Isetta. I think it's an Isetta. Isn't that sweet? Little bubble car. And these are all just artifacts from South Tyrol, that from the 50s, 60s, 70s, just nostalgia. It's an old tourism placard. Must have been an automobile show. Yeah, I guess people from the region, they would recognize these. You know, if they were of a certain age, they would recognize these things. Of course, we're too young. We're too young, of course. Yeah, so this is a little sort of tavern retro. They sort of replicated a tavern and what they would have back then in the old fridge. But we're going to a much more interesting museum soon. And this is outside of the same first museum. The view that's also connected to a type of garden. They have gardens you can go around, which we did. Really quite interesting. They have sort of trees and plants from all over the world. So this is the museum. It's dedicated to Empress Elizabeth of Austria, commonly known as Empress Sissi or Kaiserin Sissi. And this guy has basically bought this old sanatorium just to house his obsessive collection, not only of Sissi memorabilia, but other things too. Wait till you see this place. Absolutely incredible. Let me just tell you the quick story about this guy. He had so much stuff, not only connected to Sissi, which is his passion, collecting memorabilia, anything to do with her, but anything. He has got all sorts of stuff. So he was looking for a place to house his collection, and he found this old bathhouse, like sanatorium, which had been empty for over 20 years. It was derelict. He bought the place back in the 80s. I think it was the 70s. I think he bought it in the 70s. He bought the place, and Empress Sissi had actually came here and was cured of her lung disease by bathing in these waters. These waters were apparently healing waters. They had been, the actual spring was discovered in Roman times. So he bought this place. The actual bath that she bathed in was still in there. He's kept it. You'll see it soon. And he has attached a restaurant, a grotto restaurant, which his daughter runs. Fabulous, really great restaurant. We went and had lunch there afterwards. And the guy lives above the premises. This is ancient, this building. So what happened was the spring stopped running. I think it was in the early 1900s, there was an earthquake and it stopped running. Anyway, after he bought the place, in 2003, there was another earthquake, and then the spring started running again. The natural baths started running again. So you'll see them as well. What an amazing story. So we're going through the entrance. Mad collection. There's Empress Sissi there, the portrait. So a lot of people in the region who were very loyal to Empress Sissi, they donated stuff to him. These are just other stuff that he has. He collects everything, old doll houses. Look at that, it's like a general store. Isn't that fantastic? A little general store. Amazing. And this place is hidden away. You know, the main museum was supposedly dedicated to Sissi. We saw one statue, broken head. That's all they had. And allegedly a nightgown that she had. But this guy's got so much more. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? I love all that. Look, there's another sort of butcher shop. Old stoves. More dollhouse stuff. I love this. I mean, this guy has just been collecting and collecting for years. What is that there? Oh, it's a little cafe, sort of tavern. Isn't that sweet? Amazing. Everywhere you look, he's just got stuff up. I think Empress Sissi actually sewed this. This is her embroidery. This must be all part of the Habsburg family dynasty. Ah, Marcelin got here before me. Ha ha ha.
Oddie, it's just as well we meet again, because I have decided to call a truce over Christmas. The destruction of the planet Earth and the annihilation of all its people will begin again in the new year. Until that time, you are safe. Neither I nor my mannequin minions will harm you. I wish to extend my best wishes to all your viewers and let them know that we look forward to killing them again in 2024. Take care. Safe travels.
See you later, Marcelin. Take care. Until next time. So there we have another portrait of Empress Sissi. Look, the guy's just got wine corks all over the walls. Wow. So this room is really dedicated to her. So if you don't know the story of Empress Sissi, go and check it out. On Wikipedia, or there's other articles about her. She was assassinated in 1898 in Geneva, Switzerland, by an Italian anarchist who stabbed her with a pointed file. So there we have Sissi, and she didn't realize at first she had been stabbed until some hours later, when she started feeling weak and ill, and subsequently died because of the attack. And she was staying at the Hotel Beau Rivage. I was standing pretty much outside of the Hotel Beau Rivage in one of my tours, you can see that. And she was assassinated not far from that spot. And this is the Habsburg dynasty, who she married into. That's their tree. Some of her enemies say she wasn't attractive, but I saw photos of her. She definitely was. She was very vain, apparently. So this little cabinet here is detailing the assassination. You see he stabbed her with his sharpened file. But she just thought he had pushed her. She didn't realize he had actually penetrated her heart. It went through her heart. But didn't kill her instantly, as I said before. There you can see the weapon there. And that's the assassin. This is this Italian anarchist. So apparently he originally wanted to assassinate the Duke of Orleans and couldn't find him or couldn't get to him, so he found out that she was staying in Geneva and decided to go for her instead. As I say, you can read the full story on Wikipedia and other sites for his motives. After he was arrested, he thought he was going to be executed. That's what he wanted. But Geneva had abolished the death penalty, so he demanded to be tried in Lucerne. They refused, and he was sentenced to life. He tried to commit suicide in prison with the sharpened key of a sardine tin. That didn't work, and instead he hanged himself in 1910. So that was the end of him. Well, that was the end of most of him, but apparently they weren't satisfied with just burying him, so they cut his head off and popped it into a jar of formaldehyde, where it languished for decades in Switzerland. Apparently the eyes were open and the mouth revealing the teeth, so it must have been quite a freaky sight. Then in 1985 it was handed over to a museum in Vienna, and they put it on display until the year 2000, when they thought it only right and proper to give it a burial. So his head, without the rest of his body, is now buried in the Central Cemetery in Vienna. Well, I couldn't find an image of the head in formaldehyde, and I'm sure there are some, seeing as it was floating around until the year 2000, but I couldn't find one. I looked on many different websites, couldn't find one. I would have loved to have annoyed the pearl clutchers at YouTube with that. And so the lunacy continues. No doubt they have classified his head to come under the data protection laws. And so we'll have to imagine this beautifully gruesome image is Sissy holding the head of the person who dispatched her from the physical plane prematurely. And on that note, my dear, onwards we go. And so we continue our journey through this very interesting museum, full of everything. But they're being silent at the moment. They are obeying the truce, the Christmas truce. But you know that they're watching. Always watching. Waiting until Christmas is over and they can continue their destruction of Earth. So he's got all sorts of stuff. I mean, he's just collected and collected and collected. Keys. He's like a magpie. He's just picked up everything that has come across his vision. It's quite interesting, some of the cabinets, and has some really nice stuff. I wouldn't have minded if they had been for sale. I would have purchased some items. But as you know, with obsessive collectors / hoarders, they don't like to part with their goodies. And I know that myself. But I sometimes I can part with stuff, but if it's something I really like, then no money will tempt me. He's got some old tins here too. There's a Basel Bitter Rahmtafel, that's from Switzerland, from the Canton Basel. All sorts of old tins. Perfumes. Some of these old perfumes are quite expensive to collect. Nivea cream, that hasn't changed much, has it? This is his erotic cabinet, full of naughty things that will make YouTube blush and take money away from me because of it. Yes, all sorts of phallic symbols, novelty items, and generally rude stuff. I like how he's got a sort of lace curtain over it. This is outside in his backyard. As you can see, the mad collection continues. He's just stuck stuff all over the walls outside. Every little square inch is covered. He lives up there, actually, inside there. He lives there. Wouldn't it be great to live here? I would like it. He's got this beautiful garden attached to the back too. It's like a lost garden. Stuffed heads from unfortunate animals of long ago. So here, running down from here is glacier water, icy cold glacier water. So you'd never run out of fresh water. Wonderful to drink too. No additives, no fluoride. Yeah, I can heartily recommend a visit to this museum. The main ones are boring. This little one tucked away in the middle of nowhere is a treasure, a real treasure. I love eccentric people, and this guy definitely is eccentric. But I'm glad that he's making some money out of it. I mean, the restaurant does really well, I've heard. The food is fantastic. His daughter and her team create some wonderful cuisine. There's an old German helmet with rust and perhaps a bullet hole. Just, there's so much to take in, really. You're bound to miss stuff. No wonder he had to find this place and buy it. Look, he's even got like knives and forks and spoons just stuck on the wall. Just random stuff. So this was the actual bath that Sissy used. This was the one that they found it after they bought the place. It's a bit battered, but that was what she actually was lying in. So I said to Odette, why don't you strip off, jump into that icy glacier water, and we can pretend that you're Ophelia. But for some reason she wasn't very keen on the idea. Well, let's hope Sissy had some warm jets to heat the water. Unlike Elizabeth Siddal, who ended up catching pneumonia because the candles went out. And she was modelling for John Everett Millais for the painting Ophelia, and she nearly died. So hopefully Sissy was kept warm during her baths in the aforementioned glacier spring water. So this is above the little cave where the spring source is. There we see some Roman paintings. It was the Romans discovered this. It was actually outside at the time, and they built this building which extended over decades. And here we have it, you see. Now it started flowing again after the earthquake, which obviously freed the blockage. And here we see the natural source of water, this healing water that apparently healed Sissy. Now, it used to be a wine cellar during the blockage because they didn't have a use for it anymore, so they kept the wine. And once the water started flowing again, he just left the wine there. So as a curiosity, you can still see the bottles underneath. Might be some good vintages there. Again, we're outside looking at all the stuff here stuck on the walls. Mind-boggling, isn't it? So this is in the actual grotto restaurant garden, and he's got a little 1920s car stuck there in the shelter there. There's all sorts of curious objects everywhere. Gives it a certain ambience. This is the actual restaurant inside, and the smell is heavenly. Wonderful. And I don't know if you can see there on the floor, he has coins glued all over the floor. Why, I don't know. It's just a part of his expressing his eccentricity. This is also in the restaurant, these strange objects. And there we have the original fountain with the name of the healing baths, Bad Egard 1730. So they've kept that there. But I do hope you enjoyed our trip to the museum. So this is the town of Brixen in Tyrol, a beautiful old town, or city, I'm not really sure which it is. But again, no traffic, I love that. People can just walk around leisurely. That's my favourite type of town. This is also behind the scenes in Brixen. I found this interesting old villa which is abandoned, and this looks like it has been like a little kiosk for selling cigarettes, newspapers and stuff like that. It's obviously been long abandoned. So there we are, a cheap fixer-upper. I think that's going to cost a lot of money to fix up. Probably needs all the pipe work and the electrics replaced. Probably crumbling stonework, bricks. Yeah, not for the faint-hearted. I would love to know what's inside of it though. This is our final destination. We are now in Austria, and this is the ski resort of St. Anton on Arlberg. And this is our hotel overlooking the forest. They've obviously been doing some logging, but not when we were there. It was very quiet. Beautiful, clean, crisp air. Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. And very charming host and hostess. Fantastic. This is the same ski resort. In the evening, we're going out for dinner. Taxi driver taking us there and back. And it's very quiet at the moment. It kicks off in winter. So this is obviously summer. Not much happening. But then it gets crowded with tourists, and rich boarding school kids get sent here, you know, to learn skiing, etc. Yeah, and so that was the end of our journey with our friends. And we were with a very loquacious taxi driver who chatted the whole way, and they were making fun of me in the back seat because I was up front with him. So, a little bit of junking. Here we have an assorted array of coffee grinders, coffee bean grinders. Love them. I do like them. They're very decorative. Here we have some bric-a-brac, all sorts of cameras and things, outdated, obsolete stuff. This is a advertisement for Triumph bras and lingerie. It's a really old one, looks to be from the 1930s or 40s. This is a cigarette, basically holder, and the engine at the front is the lighter. You can actually light your cigarette with that. Can you see where the funnel is, the main stack? That's where the flame comes out of. It's really heavy too. What a nice piece. Saw this lovely old BMW, had to take a photograph of it. Have you ever seen one that old before? It's a really nice example and absolutely solid. 1950, 6-cylinder, only done 130,000 kilometers, guaranteed. But still a solid car. They really made them well back then. You can just see everything is heavy duty. Nice lines. I sent this to my father and he said he would love to drive that. So some more junking. Here we have some assorted tins. Tins used to be a big thing decades ago. I can remember even as a kid, every Christmas you'd have these big tins of assorted biscuits and chocolates. It was huge back then. You don't really see that many now. It's all everything's sort of plastic packaging. What about in your part of the world? Do you still get the big tins like this? That's a nice one. Velosa, Husten, for coughs. Yeah, sort of like pretzels. I've got one of these, a big one like the one underneath. I've got the same one as that. From the Co-op. This is like a sort of cacao coffee. Cacao Union. This is a friend of ours. He's 80 years old, and we do pop in from time to time, bring him food and supplies because He's not really the same since his wife died. We're going to go and visit him again when we get time off at Christmas. He lives a fair distance, but he sort of let himself go. But he's an artist. You can see he does some amazing stuff. He doesn't only have his own art, which a lot of it is, but he collects other people's art. This keeps him alive, he says. But it's a danger. He's got nails all over the floor, and he falls. He falls a lot. He trips over and falls, so it's quite dangerous. But we've warned. This is his Barbie tree, he says. We've warned him, but he doesn't take any heed. He's got all sorts of projects. He stays up basically all night and sleeps during the day. He gave me this as a present, the Mickey Mouse magazine. Here he is. Yes, he's a very eccentric. He always pretends he's ignoring you, but he's not. He's listening to what you're saying. Yes, I'm going to get him to give a Christmas message for all the viewers in the world. See if anybody understands what he's just said.
Aber das jeden Tag.
On an autumn day in 1760, a woman's funeral was held in London. So many mourners crowded outside the church that the crowd was estimated at 10,000. So many that it suggests a royal burial. But the deceased was far from royal. She came from an impoverished family and was raised in obscurity in Ireland. Yet during the second half of her short life, she would have been well accustomed to adoring and curious crowds. This ethereal vision and her sister were beautiful, no doubt, but their effect on the population was extreme, bordering on bizarre. Now showing on Patreon, my friends, and wishing you all a very Merry Christmas and all the very best for 2024. Don't forget to check out my new non-denominational Christmas mug, Macabre History, now available on Zazzle. Link in the description. Let the curtains rise. My dear friends, thank you so much for joining me the whole year in Oddie's Theatre of Fickle Fate. I do hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have enjoyed having you as my audience. And so it is that time to wish you all a very warm and loving Christmas, celebrating with your friends and family. And if you don't celebrate Christmas, I wish you the same. A warm and loving time with your family and friends, and wishing you all the best of health and success in the new year. It is now time for the curtains to close, and we will go out with a lovely Christmas tune to get us in the mood. Take care, my friends. God bless, and bye-bye.